How we doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, good.
When you went back and looked at some of the third downs from the Arizona game, what did you see?
Yeah, just looking at the third downs from Arizona, I feel like, a couple of plays we just didn't execute the best. Some of those plays obviously were like, we're third down in the red zone, trying to score with the defense backed up, so they're basically giving us the field goal. So, there's some different situations in there, and obviously we're trying to score, and trying to, convert every single third down. And some of those things were execution, things that we can do better, things that I can do better. And so, really just looking forward to cleaning those up.
The number of explosive plays by this team is among the best in the NFL. What's gone into that, do you think?
I think it obviously starts with great play calling, great scheming, and great plays by Shane, and then just overall execution, starting with the protection, communication, starting with Austin and going out to everyone else. Receivers getting open, tight ends getting open, me using my legs at times, backs. We have some explosive runs as well. And so mainly I just say it's a collective group thing. Everyone's pitching in and then having explosive players. We have a bunch of those.
What's the difference in getting those plays versus relying on those plays during the course of the game?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, it comes, twofold, man. Sometimes you have to rely on them in order to win the game. And sometimes they're pressing you and they're not giving you the underneath stuff. And so you have to go, take your shots. Other times, it just happens during the game and you're not necessarily trying to force it, but they're giving you opportunities and looks, and sometimes those things happen. So for the most part, it just comes down to taking what they give you. I think, like I said, we have explosive players, and that's allowed us to be explosive.
Did you like playing for the Chargers?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Was that goofy? I mean, you were there when the stadium was the
Stuff up.
one, right?
Yeah. No, it was cool, man. It was cool. The Spanos family and, Mr. Telesco and their GM, all those guys, man, they welcomed me in for the short time I was there. It was actually Chenna's rookie year, and, a bunch of the guys are still on the team, but I enjoyed it. It was a real good organization.
Kenneth Walker, how are you seeing him embracing his opportunity? Like, if you could chronologically, when you first saw him come into camp and now that he's a starter.
Yeah, Kenneth is he's continuing to grow, man. Young man's got all the ability in the world. He works hard. He studies. He does all the things the right way. He's a sponge. He wants to be really good. And, I just expect him to continue to grow and blossom, man. He's out there just, doing some amazing things on the field. He's hard to tackle. He's fast. He's strong. He brings a lot to the game. And so we're going to continue to get him going, and I think he'll help us out.
What goes through your head when you see him make that jump cut in front of you and get out to the wing on that run last week, and now all of a sudden, oh crap, I got to block somebody?
Yeah, it's fun, man. I'm just finishing the boot action. Just doing my part, trying to pull somebody out of there, and he bounces it, and I become his lead blocker. That's it's team ball. All 11 playing for one another and with each other. So it's pretty cool. I mean, I didn't really get much of a block, but I at least got in the way.
Is that the coaching point for a quarterback?
Yeah. Just try to stay, just get in the way, but try not to put your pads on anybody.
The direct snap to him, was that just a great play call based on what the defense was giving you, or is there something about his skill set that makes that work too?
Yeah, it starts with the play calling. Shane came up with that during the week. We said they would present some challenging looks up front, and that's one. You got all 8 guys up. You don't know who's blitzing, who's coming, who's dropping out. But the good thing about it is that when you just snap it to Ken Walker and you got guys pulling out, guys coming on the edge, he runs up in there. He gets 17, 18 yards, and it makes the D coordinator think twice about getting into that package.
What do you think of that acting job that you did there?
Oh, it was all right. B minus. I could probably do a little better, but it was all right. I think I got the job done, so that's all that really matters.
Is there any commentary in the team meeting on your acting?
Not much. I don't think guys were sold really with my acting job. It was more so they were blown away by what Ken was doing and his running ability and making guys miss more so than what I was doing back there.
What do you expect from their defense?
They have a really good defense. I expect them to be physical. They got great guys up front, Khalil Mack, Sebastian Joseph Day, who we've seen with the Rams. They got a bunch of guys up front. Obviously, Joey's out, but they still have capable guys. Their linebackers are young and fast. They fly around, they hit. You got Derwin James in the back end, who's a really good safety, one of the better safeties in the league. J.C. Jackson, who they just signed over, one of the better corners, a guy who's really known for taking away the ball, gets a lot of interceptions and things like that. So they got guys all over. Going to be another challenge, and I think we're up to the challenge. We just got to be on our game, come out playing fast and playing together.
When a team runs as much of a certain cover, looks like they run a ton of man coverage. When a team does that, is it common at all for them to totally change their stripes, or do they typically stick with that?
I mean, they can do whatever they want. It's up to them. It's up to their coordinator and how they scheme. We can't say what they're going to do exactly once the game starts. I'll let you know when the game starts what they're doing. But on film, they do play a ton of man. Teams who have played man haven't done that to us so far. But you never know. I mean, they can like their guys, their matchups, and go out there and play man every play, or can come with a totally new scheme and do something different than we've seen. And it's really up to us communicating and just being on the same page and doing the right thing out there.
Is that just a testament to DK and Tyler's talents that teams that play a lot of man don't tend to do to
I think it's all our talents, man. Not just DK and Tyler, but you got Noah Fant, you got Marquise, you got D. I mean, all those guys are good out there. And when you put guys in one-on-one situations, you can only double one or two guys, and then the rest of the guys are basically in cover zero. So I think I don't know what they're going to do until the game starts, but they do play a ton of man, and they also play a ton of zone. So we just have to go out there and assess what they're doing and make plays.
Is Detroit the only team that really stayed with man throughout the games against you?
I would say, they mixed it in. Detroit wasn't man on every single down, but they mixed it in. They probably played it more so than any other team has played us. But, we can expect man in certain situations, because they kind of have to. But, they'll mix it in. They mix coverages and try and do their best job to, keep us confused and not let them know not let us know what they're doing.
Pete was talking about Dee's development, just kind of in year two. I was starting to get a lot more comfortable. What have you seen out of him, this season, but even in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, man, Dee and I have been studying together, man. I've been talking to Dee like every day, man. I think what he's doing and how he's coming along is so tremendous because he's got all the physical tools, all the talent in the world. He can make all the plays, and mentally, the game's slowing down for him. And you can see when the ball's in his hands, he's dynamic. And as the game continues to slow down, he's going to play that much faster and be that much better.
Having worked with Tyler Lockett now for a couple years, why do you think he's so effective in finding a way to get open as often as he does?
You know what? I think, man, for a real estate agent, guys are probably underestimating him, man. He's one of the best. He's one of the better receivers at getting separations I've been around. He's fast. He's probably faster than people think. He's savvy. He knows the coverages. He knows how to get open, when to get open, and he's got great hands. Great concentration, catches balls. Crazy passes, tracks the ball as well as anybody I've ever seen. So, and he's just a great human being. All around just a great guy. So Tyler is definitely one of my favorite teammates, and he just does a great job every single week.
How comfortable are those rookie tackles in their position from week to week and different, game planning for different teams?
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't tell they were rookies, honestly. I've been impressed with those guys, with Charles and Abe from day one. They stepped right in and picked up the offense and been running with the ones ever since training camp. And those guys are doing a tremendous job each and every week. You're going to have a tough battle every week in the NFL, and it's not easy, being an offensive lineman, let alone a rookie. And, I mean, they're standing up to everything thrown at them, and it's very impressive. And I think they're going to continue to get better and continue to learn, and the game's going to continue to slow down, and they'll get that much better.
Is there like a threshold on your drops that's like a no-no for like in terms of protecting the tackles, like how far are you supposed to go?
Yeah, for sure. We try not to get too deep back there in the pocket because obviously they'll get edged, and it's tough for those guys to, block that deep around the edge. And so my job is to continue to climb the pocket, continue to stay in that sweet spot within the pocket, and just make sure that I'm getting the ball out on time and in rhythm so that they're not protecting forever.
You have to change based on whether you're under center or shotgun or pistol?
Yeah, it does change, based on the drop, based on the play call, the footwork on the given concept, those things will change.
How is the communication coming along? You said a few weeks ago that it's been really good and it will continue to improve. How have you seen with like Austin and the offensive line?
Oh, it's been awesome, man. I think Austin has done a tremendous job. He continues to lead that group. He's a leader. He's tough as nails. Great blocker. understands all the looks, makes all the calls, and you can see those guys communicating down the line. And it's gotten better every week, and it's going to continue to get better.
When you have a younger center or maybe a center who's not as adept at communicating, does that responsibility sometimes fall on the quarterback?
Yeah, it's always on the quarterback, and I'm always up there, making calls with him. But the great thing about Austin is that we're seeing the same things, and so before I can make a call, he's already made the call that I was thinking, and basically I'm just echoing him, or if I see something else or a look that I want to get to, then I'll trump that call, make a different call, and he's right on with it, and we go from there.
You said right after the game you felt you could have played a little bit better and all that. Did you kind of feel the same way after watching the film? Or?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I could have played better. Just some of those third down situations, a couple of those sacks, little things within the offense that I could have done better, and working to clean those things up, and expecting to do well this upcoming Sunday.
Is there any similarities in how the Chargers use Derwin and how the Cardinals use Buddha?
Some, yeah. I mean, they're both playmakers. They kind of let those guys roam the field and do their thing. When you got guys like that, so athletic, can cover so much ground, you don't want to hinder them and put them in just one box and say, you just cover this half of the field. So Derwin's all over the place, and they'll use him in multiple spots. And, the key is just understanding where he is and IDing him and then going from there.
Does this feel more routine now? Does it feel routine back in the saddle of 6 weeks now?
Yeah, it does. It does. And I'm not really focused on like anything else other than going to work every day, waking up in the morning, 4:30, getting to the weight room and getting to work and getting my day started. That's just kind of how I look at it, one day at a time, and everything else is really not in my control.
How, if any, has the routine of an NFL starting quarterback changed in the 8 years since you did it in New York?
My routine hasn't changed. I've been doing the same thing for 10 years now. I believe in something that works for me. Everyone's got a different routine, different way to do things. I have a way that works for me, and so I've continued to stay with the same routine, and it's so far it's working.
With the tablets and all that, nothing has been is no different than it was 8, 10 years
No,
ago?
not at all. No.
Was playing for the Chargers your first time living on the West Coast?
Yes. Well, full time, yes. I had briefly lived out in California for a couple months. I was training out there, but for an entire year, yes, playing with the Chargers was.
How was that versus living in Florida or the East Coast?
Well, just adjusting to the time zones, not being able to talk to your family as much as normal because of the differences in time zones, and then really just other than that, everything else is the same. Just adjusting to a different climate, different area, but everything else is pretty much the same.
You alluded to Lockett and his off-the-field interest in real estate. What has he told you about that?
He wants to sell a bunch of houses, make a bunch of money, and he enjoys real estate, and I'm with him. I'm with him with that.
Have you? He's also into poetry and he's written a book. Have you met an NFL player who has as many sort of interests outside of football as him?
You'll be surprised, man. Most of the guys do. Most guys do. I don't think as many guys are as open as Tyler is. He's an open book, man. He'll let you know anything you want to know, and he's just such a great guy and really an inspiration to other players who aren't as diverse. And I think that helps him having a really good perspective on life and on sports, and also just continue to work on things outside of being a great receiver. And I think other guys have those interests as well. May not always get into them, but I think seeing Locke do it should give guys motivation.
Has he tried to sell you a house?
Not yet. But if I wouldn't hesitate. I would not hesitate.
Has players philanthropic or what they're doing off the court changed now off the field, I should say, changed in the last, I'd just take Greg's 8 years, kind of like what Tyler, backing up on Tyler's stuff that he's doing, and you're saying a lot of players don't reveal that. Have more players begun to do that in the last 8-9 years?
Well, since I've gotten into the league, guys have, the guys that I've been around have been, very well diverse. And I think players and athletes in general are being more outspoken, are, really using their platform to shed light on different, topics. And one of those being just being more than an athlete. LeBron James talks about that, being more than an athlete, and we all are. We're human beings. We got other interests. We got families, and our families have interests outside of football and sports. And so you see guys nowadays, they're really speaking out more, and it's cool to see. It's cool to see guys take the helmet off and let the fans and everyone else see what they're into, outside of just being great athletes.
How different does Uchenna look now versus when he was a rookie?
I remember Chenna's rookie year. We were in the playoffs. He got a strip sack, sealed the game for us in our first playoff game, and he's doing the same thing now, man. That's who he is. He's a playmaker, explosive off the edge. I remember watching him at USC and being impressed with him, and like, who's this number 42 out there? And then getting a chance to play with him and being with him a second time. He's a pro's pro. Plays hard every play. He's a leader and just an explosive guy off the edge, guy you want on your team.
What are the advantages, if any, of being able to watch your opponent live like you guys were able to do Monday and watching the Chargers?
Yeah, I think the advantages are just getting a feel for me watching the D coordinator and his calls, getting a feel for the situational stuff, gotta have it situations, third downs, red zones, like what do they like to call, trying to get a feel for their tendencies. And then other than that, just being able to watch the game as a fan, other than that, we watch film and we go over a bunch of different, looks and things like that. But when I'm at home watching the game, it's hard for me to do, but I try and watch it as a fan.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you, guys.